Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on our pretty miserable, wet and grey Friday morning. We've just been speaking to Mikel Arteta ahead of Arsenal's game at Everton tomorrow, as they're looking to end this miserable Premier League run. I thought I'd just pop on here, run over a few things that Mikel had to say. I have to admit, it wasn't the best press conference. It was pretty dull. Not too much to come from it in terms of real sort of standout news lines, but I'll sort of go over a couple of things that he had to say. Obviously, look ahead to the Everton game as well. Give my predicted 11 as always, a little bit of team news ahead of that game, and yeah, let's get straight into it. I mean, the main line really Mikel had to say sort of from the presser was that he's calling for time. I know that's going to annoy a fair few of you probably, but he is, and he also said that he still is adamant that he has the full belief and backing of everyone at the club, including the players. Obviously, we've heard a lot about the whispers coming out there, a few unhappy players around, and there are, but that is to be expected because they're not getting much game time, so there are certainly going to be a few whose noses are out of joint at the moment. But he said he still has the support. He said, thought this is probably the most interesting quote from the whole press conference. A little bit long, so I'll try and rattle through it. He said, "I said it from the start that I felt really supported by the owners, by the board, the technical director, and then by everybody else that is at the club. At the end of the day, it's a feeling that I have with the staff, the coaches, with the players. They're the most important ones. It's about what chemistry you have with them, what understanding they have. Do they follow you? Do they believe in what you are trying to do? I always have to say thank you because I haven't seen anything that goes against what we are trying to do." And then he goes on to say, this industry needs results. After a big shake-up, we need to find the stability. In order to do that, we need time. We all knew this, at least the people who made the decision with me to start this new project, that it wouldn't be a quick fix and it was going to take time. When you are shaking things up, things can take a while. I understand a few of you will be annoyed by that, really, because it's an interesting one. Because yes, I absolutely agree with him. I think a big project like this, you absolutely need time, and especially when you're trying to basically clean out a squad, it's going to take a while. You're going to take 2, 3, 4 transfer windows to get your players out and to get the players in, and in that meantime, when you're doing that, you're going to annoy a lot of players who are still at the club, and that's obviously happening at the moment, who aren't getting game time, who aren't too pleased, and it's always going to lead to a little bit of unrest behind the scenes, which isn't going to work well in terms of on the pitch. Sometimes it's going to always manifest into performances and into the mood in the squad, and it seems like that's what's happening at the moment. So I do agree with him in that sense, that you do need time to build this new project that Arsenal and Arteta are going down, Project Arteta as it is known. But also, I don't think that can be used as an excuse for recent performances and recent results. I think no matter how much time it's going to take you, I think you need to at least perform to a decent standard if you're a manager of Arsenal Football Club or if you play for Arsenal Football Club. And let's face it, neither Mikel Arteta or the players have been performing at a decent standard for the last sort of 6 weeks or so in the Premier League, and that has to change. So the only way he's going to have time, and I've said this a fair few times recently, the only way he is going to get the time that he wants, and in my view the time he deserves, is by winning football games, because that's going to ease the pressure and that's going to avoid the scrutiny falling on him, and that's ultimately going to avoid him getting the sack. Because although everyone is really invested in Project Arteta at the club, in terms of the owners, Edu, everyone, they want this to work and they are absolutely backing him and willing to give him time for it to work, ultimately he needs to get results, because he can't stay 15th or 16th in the Premier League and continue to lose games if you're a manager of Arsenal Football Club. Because if you do that, no matter how much people want you to succeed, you're ultimately going to get fired. So I kind of agree what he has to say there as well, but I do think the whole call for time and all that, I think as much as it sounds like a simple thing to say for him, and it probably is, deep down he knows he has to get results. And to be fair to him, he does kind of say that in this industry needs results, and so he does know that as well. So interesting stuff there, I thought, from Arteta. Pretty much the only really interesting comment. There wasn't too many more sort of standout things for him in this one. There's a couple of comments about Anthony Martinelli and Gabriel Martinelli that I'll get to later on in this video. Looks like a little bit of transfer news that will soon probably be confirmed by Arsenal ahead of the January transfer window, is the Omar Rekik deal. Looks like that is now very imminent in terms of going ahead. He's the centre back coming in from from Germany, Hertha Berlin. He was supposed to be signing in the summer, didn't happen right on deadline day, but it's going to happen in January. He's in England now. He touched down yesterday, posted a picture on his Instagram, I think it was. So that deal is going to look like it's going to go through. The idea at Arsenal at the moment looks like it's probably going to send him back out on loan, potentially for the second half of the season, back to Germany. If not, he'll be with the under-23. So this isn't a sign-in that's going to be sort of making a significant impact on the first team or anything like that yet. It's kind of another one of the several deals we've seen really for the under-23s this summer. And coming in from abroad and from England as well. Made a lot of new signings. The under-23s have sort of moved it into a different direction of how they're dealing with their squad at the moment, since so many of their players out on loan, not just to Europe but to lower leagues in England as well. And to make up for that, they've brought an awful lot of players in from around Europe, and Rekik is going to be the latest one of those. So it's going to be about £1 million, just under £1 million for him. But like I said, he'll either be going back on loan somewhere or he'll be going with the under-23s and training occasionally with the first team. So it's not one that's going to be impacting Mikel Arteta's squad between now and the end of the season. But still good news. It looks like that one is getting done, because Arsenal believe he's a talented young centre-back, left-sided centre-back. He is as well. Gabby Martinelli, fingers crossed it's not too long until we see Gabby back in an Arsenal shirt. I think we're all really, really looking forward to that one. Hoping he's going to make a difference. Hoping that energy that he brings, that enthusiasm that he brings, is going to make a little bit of difference. Obviously, it's a bit... kind of says where Arsenal are right now, that you're hoping for he's 19-year-old kid to come in and spark things into life. But he is just that infectious type character that you really want to see on the football pitch, and we all enjoyed. We loved seeing him break through last season. It's been such a shame that we haven't had to see him yet because of injury this season, but he is close. I think he's going to be playing for the under-23s again tonight. Obviously played against Wimbledon last week, so he's getting closer and closer to a first team return. And Mikel Arteta was asked about Gabby and what his return will mean to the squad, and this is what he had to say. So Gabby is pure enthusiasm, energy, belief, charisma and goals. And this is him. He's around the training ground and he's around our training sessions, and the energy is different because he goes 100 miles an hour. He's got this passion and his way of playing, and he is a threat. He's a player that we've been missing because he brings something special to the team. He's contagious with his attitude, and I think it's going to be a big boost when we have him. Absolutely. Really good, strong words there from Arteta on Martinelli. He knows the impact he's going to have. It was quite kind of interesting just before he got injured, really. He'd been taken out of the side a little bit. Obviously, Arteta used him early on. He was... when Aubameyang got suspended after the sending off at Crystal Palace last season, Martinelli filled in for him and he scored 2 goals in 3 games. I can't remember the first game he scored in. I think it was a draw. But then he went and scored that goal at Chelsea in the following game as well. So he filled in really well. But after that, Arteta wasn't really using him too much at all, if ever. And people beginning to question, does he not like him? Does he not rate him? But I think you sort of look at these comments there and he certainly does rate him. And the fact that Arsenal gave him a new contract while he's injured as well shows that how much they value Gabby Martinelli. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Gabby back. And I know from all the questions and the comments you send in to me across my various channels and the comments here, how much you're sort of waiting and eagerly anticipating Gabby's return. So going to be really, really interesting to see just what Mikel plans for Gabby and how much he uses him. Is he going to put him straight into the team? Can he play on the left-hand side of the attack? Is he going to think about using him as a central striker with Aubameyang on the left-hand side? So plenty of options that Gabby's return will bring. We saw the link-up he had with Saka and Tierney down the left-hand side was really exciting. And he's just going to bring that threat, that pressing, the high press, the energy. It's going to be very different to what Arsenal currently have up front. So fingers crossed Gabby gets through that game for the under-23s tonight, and then we could see him back in the next week or 2 weeks playing in the senior side again. In terms of now, we'll go to team news ahead of the Everton game on Saturday. Mikel was asked about that. He didn't want to give too much away. He just said we have a few doubts. Obviously, we cannot tell you who, but we have some doubts for tomorrow, yes. I think most people are going to be all right who've been playing recently. It looks like David Luiz, I would say, will probably come in. Yes, there's lots of whispers and rumours about David Luiz and Mikel Arteta at the moment. But Arteta obviously used him in midweek once Gabriel got sent off, and I thought Luiz did really well when he came on. He showed a lot of real leadership in that last half an hour, Luiz. He got straight on and was just talking everyone through everything as they were sort of holding on for that draw against Southampton. So I imagine Luiz will certainly play Everton on Saturday, whether it be in a back 3 or a back 4. We'll have to wait and see, but I think he will come in and start. There's no Gabriel, obviously. He's suspended after that red card against Southampton, no Granit Xhaka. He's serving the second game of his 3-match ban following his sending off against Burnley. Hector Bellerin is back though after he's served his 1-match ban following 5 yellow cards. Obviously, as I've said about Gabriel Martinelli, he's playing for the under-23s tonight, so he's not yet ready for the senior side. And no Thomas Partey, unfortunately. Thomas Partey's still out for the foreseeable future as he continues to come back from that thigh injury. That pesky thigh injury that is robbing Arsenal of a chance of seeing Thomas Partey play week in, week out, and I'm utterly convinced Arsenal will be nowhere near where they are in the table at the moment had Thomas Partey been fit since that game against Aston Villa when he first picked up that injury. Talk a little bit now about my predicted 11 for the game up at Goodison. Remember, this predicted 11 is kind of what I think... I'll go with what I did last week. I'll go with the predicted 11 and then I'll go through what I would like to see at Everton. First of all, just a little comment on Ainsley Maitland-Niles that Mikel said. He was asked about Ainsley and his performance against Southampton. He said, I think Ainsley had a good game and I think he's evolving really well. I think he's made in this year big progress and he's in a much better place than what he was a year ago and he needs to keep doing what he's doing. Whether Ainsley starts again, that's a big point. With Hector Bellerin back from suspension. I hope he starts. I think he could potentially start on the other side of the pitch this weekend. He was played in place of Hector Bellerin on on Wednesday, but I think he could potentially play on the left-hand side this weekend up at Everton. So I'll go with my predicted 11. I'm going to go with 3-4-3. I think Mikel will probably stick with that. I'm going to say he'll go with Leno in goal, a back three of Holding, Luiz and Tierney. I think Bellerin will come back in on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side of the sort of midfield four. I think he'll play with El Neni and he'll play with Ceballos. And then I think he'll probably play with Saka as the left wing back. And then he'll go with a front three of Pepe. I think Lacazette might come back in. Pepe, Lacazette and Aubameyang. So that's my predicted 11. That's what I think Mikel will do. What I would like to see, I'd go with 3-4-3 again. And to be honest, at the moment, I'll go with Leno, Holding, Luiz, Tierney. I would play Hector on the right. I would play Ainsley Maitland-Niles over on the left-hand side of the sort of wing-back roles that he played last season so well in the FA Cup run. I'd have Ceballos and El Neni in the middle, and then I'd go with Pepe on the right, Aubameyang as a central striker, and I'd have Saka on the left-hand side of the attack. So that's what team I'd probably like to see up at Everton, but the one I mentioned before that is the predicted 11. That's one I think wouldn't be surprised to see Mikel Arteta go for. He's obviously got a couple of big decisions to make there. You know, do you play Ainsley on the left-hand side as a wing-back, or do you play Saka there as he did at the weekend, and do you play Lacazette or Eddie Nketiah? I didn't think Eddie had a good game against Southampton, having been given that opportunity, although he did set up the goal with a very nice little flick to Aubameyang. Whether that's enough to keep his place in the team, we'll have to wait and see. I certainly want to see Pepe start again. I don't want to see him taken straight back out again and William brought back in the side. I think it's really important that Pepe gets a bit of a run in the side now. And he's also, he's got to decide, does Aubameyang play as a central striker or does he play on the left-hand side? It was noticeable that his goal came coming in off the left-hand side and running onto a flick from the central striker against Southampton. You know, is that... I know we all want to see Aubameyang. It's like an easy thing to say, play him as a central striker, but hasn't scored playing in that role. His goals have come this season when he's been playing on that left-hand side and coming in off that. You think of his goal at Fulham on the opening weekend. You think his goal on Wednesday against Southampton. It was a similar story as well. So that's about it from today's video. Like I said, not too much to report from the press conference. Not much happening. That one wasn't the most of interesting. I will be at Goodison Park tomorrow. Long trip up to Liverpool in the rain, I presume. But I will be there 5:30 kickoff. I'll try and do one of my live broadcasts before the game, reacting to the team news and showing you a little bit of the warm-ups as always and taking your questions. And then if I get the time, I'll try and do my player ratings as well. Thank you for watching, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your Friday and I'll speak to you very, very soon.